What is it like? I didn't know I was shot.
Destiny is my destiny.
I don't enjoy power.
Isolating.
You have to fight it?
I fight it all the time.
The last 3 days I was in the White House, I didn't go to bed at all.
There's no if only about you.
There's no if only.
I don't read about my period of life except my own books.
I look forward to coming on your show and answering any questions they can throw. Curve, fastball.
Legend. You're not afraid to go on stage and sing.
Oh, yeah.
The first 4 or 5 seconds, I tremble every time I take the step and I walk out of the wing onto the stage.
Why do you like being other people?
Well, probably because I'm not so crazy about myself.
I never knew that many people loved me.
I've never thought of myself as beautiful.
Have you ever had a facelift?
God, no. If I had a facelift, would I be stuck with this?
It's great to see you. You look terrific.
It's because I'm wearing my Larry King shirt.
Yes.
I forgot the suspenders.
If she can carry a gun, good as any mother's son.
You're singing my part.
And laughs. I can't believe it. All right. They pay me for this. This is a good job.
Richard.
I love it. At this stage in your career, how would you assess where you are?
Well, I'm on this show.
Is your chair okay? Don't be so homophobic. Get over here. How do you... I'm gonna give you a kiss. No.
That just blows my mind.
Blows mine too.
No! The couple, the cuddle.
Robbie! Welcome to the 10th anniversary of Larry King Live. Good evening. My name is Larry King, and this is the premiere edition of Larry King Live. It's been 1 decade since I've said those words. Sure, I've changed some, a little less hair, got rid of the coat, but I'm still live and still talking to the most fascinating people in the world. Why not? We've got a winning formula here, and it's watched in 220 countries. I've asked a lot of questions during the last 10 years, gotten answers I never thought I'd hear, plus a few I'm still trying to figure out. Sometimes it's been dicey, but it's never been dull. This show has packed a lot of star power. It's also broken headlines as they've happened, and then dug behind them when the time was right. We've delivered the news and the folks who made it. What is it like to be shot?
I didn't know I was shot. I heard a noise, and we came out of the hotel and headed for the limousine, and I heard some noise, and I thought it was firecrackers. And the next thing I knew, one of the Secret Service agents behind me just seized me here by the waist and plunged me head first into the limo. I landed on the seat, and the seat divider was down, and then he dived in on top of me, which is part of their procedure to make sure that I'm covered. Well, as it turned out later, the shot that got me caromed off the side of the limousine and hit me while I was diving into the car. And it hit me back here under the arm, and then hit a rib, and that's what caused an extreme pain. And then it turned instead of edgewise and went tumbling down to within an inch of my heart.
The day it started, can you tell me the moments leading up to it, who you were talking to? Were you talking to President Bush? Were you talking to Colin Powell?
About the 24 hours before it started, we weren't talking to anybody, because by that time, I described it one time as like standing at a crap table, you throw the dice in the air. Once the dice are in the air, they're going to land. And then it's only a question how they land.
That would be a 24-hour take to land.
So, sure. So what had happened, you see, we had to start planes flying from very, very distant locations, heading out there long before H hour. So we had to have a decision 48 hours in advance in order for us to get the wheels rolling.
From the time my right window broke out from whatever hit it, I knew after that nothing. I woke up.
Because you know what you see on film.
That's it.
You have no memory of that.
No, sir.
No pain?
Well...
Subsequent pain.
Yeah, subsequent pain.
I mean, you woke up in a hospital, is that
Yeah,
it?
5 days later, and I couldn't talk because they had a bunch of tubes going through my throat and everything.
What kind of injury? You had 90 stitches, right?
Quite a few. Staples.
Staples. Do you still have a fracture in the head?
Yes, on the side of my head here.
There's a dent there. We can show that.
I don't know if you guys can see, but the dent is because there's skull is missing, parts of the skull.
Do you hate those guys who did this?
No, they're confused.
Don't hate them.
No.
The events today, did they shock you?
I think anytime something that horrible and that tragic happens, it's shocking, and it's terribly, terribly hurtful and painful.
As it turns out, Janet, was that wrong?
Obviously, as you look at all the information that we had, as you considered everything that we knew at the time, we made the best decision I think that we could based on everything that we knew. Based on what we know now, it was obviously wrong.
Police believe that O.J. Simpson is in that car. Police believe he is in that vehicle. Now police radio is saying that Simpson has a gun at his head. Police radio is saying that Simpson, the passenger in the car, has a gun at his head. Reviewing a car apparently being driven by Al Cowling, one of O.J.'s oldest friends and a former teammate at Southern Cal.
You have a national hero. I, as an undergraduate, went to USC. O.J. Simpson was a hero of mine. There's a beauty, a grace about him. He was very successful. People don't want to believe that he could possibly have done this.
O.J. Simpson simply is not a murderer, number one. Number two, he couldn't have done it. Number three, he wouldn't have done it. And number four, this whole debacle is covering nicely for the people who did do it and may do it again.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
Yeah, it's just a horrible, horrible thing, Larry. I just hope that with obviously the prayers and the support of everybody who are here and who isn't here, that we can find some survivors, but it's a very grim business.
Can you tell us, Governor, whether now, after your briefings with the Bureau and others, that this looks like definitely a domestic case?
That's what it looks like.
What is it like to be taken?
I was terrified. There's no doubt about it. I was sure they were going to kill me. When they came on the site, it was a crazed mob. They were yelling and screaming and throwing stuff out of the way. And again, I had no ammunition left, and I just placed that weapon across my chest and put my hands on it and looked up at the sky. And? Yeah, it was out of my hands at that point.
They took you where?
They wrapped, well, one guy threw dirt in my eyes and in my mouth, and then they wrapped a rag around my head, and they hoisted me up in the air, and they carried me out into the street, and they were parading me around for a few minutes. My leg was being manipulated all over the place. My back was really, really hurting me bad, and again, I thought there was a pretty good chance they'd still end up killing me.
The late, great Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, liked to say that all politics is local. I think all politics is people, and boy, can they talk. That's next on our 10th anniversary show.
Larry King Live 10th Anniversary is brought to you by Carrier. For affordable, energy-efficient comfort systems, call your local Carrier dealer today. And by Chrysler and the new Chrysler Cirrus Sport Sedan.
They were robbed.
No.
Biggest week ever, beginning with President Clinton and Vice President Gore live from the White House. Tuesday, the legendary Barbra Streisand. Wednesday, it's broadcasting's biggest names: Walters, Brokaw, Wallace, and Turner. Thursday, King Hussein, Yasser Arafat, and Yitzhak Rabin take your questions. Friday, it's David Letterman live on Broadway. And Saturday, Clint Eastwood. Larry King's 10th Anniversary Week, 9 Eastern on CNN.
Politicians have been on our gotta get 'em list since day one, literally. My kickoff guest in 1985 was Mario Cuomo, then governor of New York. But the year we made everyone's campaign calendar was 1992. It started when I asked Ross Perot, is there any way you'd run for president? Can you give me a scenario in which you'd say, okay, I'm in?
If you feel so strongly about this,
Number one, I will not run as either a Democrat or Republican, because I will not sell out to anybody but to the American people. And I will sell out to them.
So you'd run as an independent?
Number two, if you're that serious, you, the people, are that serious, you register me in 50 states. And if you're not willing to organize and do that, then this is all just talk.
Not all talk. Plenty of political action. Perot jumped in, backed out.
Our chances of winning would be pretty slim.
Then did a 180 and rejoined the race.
I made a mistake. And I made a mistake because I thought both parties would grab the issues and take off. Anybody that analyzed why people had gotten interested in what we were doing, say it has nothing to do with Perot. It has everything to do with the fact that he is willing to talk about the issues that concern the American people.
We were on the scene for the '92 Democratic and Republican conventions, of course. And we kept tabs on George Bush and Bill Clinton as they battled for your votes. About a month before the election, something special. The president, upstairs at the White House, he talked on tape, didn't take phone calls.
And I hope you understand that we've just resisted call-ins in the White House. Maybe I'm overly respectful of the trust that Barbara and I have to keep this place as dignified as possible. And I don't know, but I look forward to coming on your show and answering any questions they can throw. Curveballs, straight balls, fastballs.
Back to the gridlock.
I'd like to get a few with the seam showing, but nevertheless.
A day later, Ocala, Florida, Clinton and Gore live and pretty laid back. Going to your calls momentarily for Governor Clinton and Senator Gore. By the way, President Bush returns Wednesday night taking phone calls. Just thought we'd throw, you laugh. Are you surprised at that?
No.
No, but he is returning Wednesday night to take phone calls for the full program. And
I'm glad we could help him decide to do that.
Fast forward 48 hours live in San Antonio. For the first time in 15 years, an incumbent president took phone calls. We start with Arlington, Virginia. Hello.
Hi, Larry. Mr. President, this is such an honor to be able to speak to you. I've been an admirer of yours for years.
George Bush got an earful, and we got an eyeful of his driver's license. That's still a Texas driver's license.
Still, you want to see it?
Yeah.
Let me see. I got to be sure I get.
Make sure it doesn't expire.
Give him the right. No, it's not expired.
Man, I like that smile.
Did you say President?
Wait a minute. Yep, President George W. Bush. The Clinton-Gore team took the election. We checked out the action at the Arkansas Ball on Inauguration night. 6 months later, we were back at the White House. I asked President Clinton what surprised him most about his new job.
I think the thing that has surprised me most is how difficult it is, even for the president, if you're going to take on big changes and try to make big things happen, to really keep communicating exactly what you're about to the American people.
There was a punch to the gut waiting for Bill Clinton when we got off the air. Word that White House counsel Vince Foster, a close friend, had killed himself. First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton remembered the pain when we talked later in May.
Well, I was in Arkansas, and while he was on with you, as you remember, because you were there, Mac McLarty called to tell me what had happened, and I think everyone just was in shock. I mean, you were there, you saw the faces, people were traumatized. I mean, I was told they were crying in the hall and just collapsed on the floor. It was a terrible, terrible experience.
Most of our political shows have been one-on-one interviews, but sometimes we clear the decks and do a debate. November 9th, 1993, Vice President Al Gore and Ross Perot square off and come out swinging over NAFTA, our highest-rated show ever.
All right, folks, Rio Grande River is the most polluted river in the Western Hemisphere. Tijuana River is the most polluted. They've had to close.
But all this is without NAFTA, right?
Yeah, let me respond to this if I could, would you?
This is after years of U.S. companies going to Mexico, living free.
But they could do that without NAFTA.
But we can stop that without NAFTA, and we can stop that with a good NAFTA.
How do you stop that without NAFTA?
Just cut that out. Pass a few simple laws on this, and just make it very, very clear.
Simple laws on Mexico?
No.
How do you stop it without NAFTA?
Give me your whole mind.
Yeah, I'm listening. I haven't heard the answer, but go ahead.
That's because you haven't quit talking.
Well, I'm listening. How do you stop it without NAFTA?
Okay. Are you going to listen? Work on it.
As we head into another presidential race, I keep remembering something Dan Quayle said on our show in '92. What did you make of the whole Perot phenomenon? What did you make of it?
Started right here.
You're sitting in the
Larry King show. You know what you started? Other people are going to think about running for president. They're going to say, how do I get on that show? How do I get on
You're here now, Dan.
Hey, no news tonight, Larry.
Well, guess what?
I think I can defeat President Clinton in 1996.
The good thing about running for president, Larry, it is just such a huge task.
And I'm going to run for president.
We're going to carry it all the way in 1996.
Celebrity Secrets and Insights up next as Larry King Live celebrates its 10th anniversary.
April 12th, 1861. Americans go to war against each other. Thousands of Confederate men worry if their families will be paid by their insurers in the North. Unfortunately, in war, that's life. While not obliged to by law, we paid our policyholders north and south, even crossing battle lines under a flag of truce to settle claims. That's New York life. The company you keep.
Hey, you want to know a great place to buy a computer? Office Depot. They even have rules about computers. 1, sell only brand name computers from leading manufacturers. 2, sell the software and accessories to go with it. I want this. 3, back everything with a low price guarantee. Oh yeah, one more. Hire people who really know computers. Hey, it's their business to know. Taking care of business. Buy your computer where businesses buy theirs. Office Depot.
You're the principal topic of my conversation. The apple of my eye. You're the principal source of my inspiration. The principal star in my sky.
For the principal people in your life, the Principal Financial Group. Insurance, 401ks, managed health care, and more.
You're the principal reason I do what I do. The principal reason.
The Principal. For over a century, your edge on the future.
I just can't afford the car I want.
Your Chrysler Plymouth dealer now has 3 ways to save during our biggest sale in history. Get big cash back, or our lowest APR, or our lowest leases ever. Lease the award-winning Chrysler Concorde for only $239 a month, or get 1.9% APR, or up to $1,500 cash back. We hear you. Our biggest sale ever at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Going live on a TV talk show. Can't get much more public than that. Funny thing, in our first 10 years, we've gotten folks to talk about a lot of private stuff. Like stars who say taking the spotlight scares them. You're afraid?
Yeah.
Of what?
I mean, this scares me, being on this show with you.
Well, you're not afraid to go on stage and sing.
Oh, yeah.
Of what?
I don't know, that I'll be less good than the people expect, that I'll forget my words, that I'll... You know, this happened to me. I was singing in front of 135,000 people, and I got a death threat from the PLO because it was during the Arab-Israeli war, and I was making the movie with Omar Sharif, whose films were banned in Egypt. So I forgot my words in front of 135,000 people. I went blank. It was like, well, because I figured I better keep moving around in case there were snipers out there, you know?
Is it still a kick when the man says, and now, ladies and gentlemen, they don't even say it, I guess, anymore. You just walk out, right?
No, they make an announcement.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
What's a kick?
Frank Sinatra. That's still a kick.
Absolutely. And the first, I swear on my mother's soul, the first 4 or 5 seconds, I tremble every time I take the step and I walk out of the wing onto the stage, because I keep thinking to myself, I wonder if it'll be there. When I go for the first the sounds that I have to make, will it be there?
I didn't like it, Larry, in the beginning. It was all challenge. I remember doing theater productions, which my father came to visit school. He used to have a wastebasket, you know, off stage, and would get sick. you know, before I'd go out. And it was really, in the earliest stages, it was a total test. I had terrible stage fright. Early days, I had a lot of camera fright, and it took a long time. It was really trying to overcome your fears was the real challenge of acting. It was not a joy. The joy came much later.
Nobody knew what would come later for O.J. Simpson when I talked with him back in 1985. Simpson got into a looking back mood. Did sports help you a lot? And I know you had problems as a kid. I mean, that was a pretty rough time for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had a great time, you know, as a kid, because you don't know any better. I grew up in government housing projects in San Francisco, various ones around the city. And I guess what really kept me in school, because many of my buddies quit school, was the fact that you had to maintain a C average to play sports. And of course, my mother had a big influence on me. She wanted me to finish high school. I had a couple of buddies and we all wanted to go in the Marines. You know, we wanted to be Audie Murphy. We saw To Hell and Back, and that was it. We're going to go into the Army or the Marines. And what turned out was one of my buddies went. Two of them dropped out of school. Ronnie Patterson went into the service, and I mean, in less than a year, he was back from Vietnam. He had lost a leg, so we got a little more realistic about it. So my other buddy who had quit school, this guy named Al Cowlings, got back into school, ended up going to junior college in USC, being a #1 draft choice by the Buffalo Bills.
We've gone into some dark places during the last decade. A former member of the Manson family, Leslie Van Houten, talked about her bloody crimes. And Mark David Chapman told us about how he killed John Lennon.
John came out, and he looked at me, and I think he recognized, here's the fella that I signed the album earlier. And he walked past me. I took 5 steps toward the street, turned, withdrew my Charter Arms 38, and fired 5 shots into his back.
All in his back?
All in his back.
Never saw it coming?
He never saw anything coming, Larry. It was a very quick, it was a rough thing.
The so-called suicide doctor, Jack Kevorkian, told us about helping people die.
It's a good feeling. You're doing a service for people. If you separate out all the feelings into components, of course the mixture is hard to characterize, and there's a mixture. You can't separate them easily. Emotionally, it's wrenching. It's disagreeable because life is ending, and that's negative.
Irvin Magic Johnson talked to us about living and being HIV positive.
I think that each day you enjoy, and you try to enjoy it to the fullest. And I think, Larry, what you do, you don't really try to worry about it. You know it's there, but you don't worry about it.
How do you push it away?
I think you just go ahead and just live, and that's how you push it away.
Of course, not all the stuff folks have spilled on our shows has been serious. Whoopi Goldberg let a really nice secret slip.
But I have a great boyfriend now.
Who is he?
I'm engaged.
Who is it, Whoop? This is news. Is this your engagement ring or a Band-Aid?
No, this is a Band-Aid.
Is this the engagement ring?
Yeah, isn't that pretty?
Hey, this is a first, Whoop. Sometimes you gotta ask flat out to get the inside scoop. Okay, Hillary, the key question is, what's with the hair? What's with the hair?
It's different every day.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect.
Well,
what is today's called?
What is today's called? It's called spray it and hope it doesn't fall on your face when you're talking to Larry.
Sometimes Larry's not around to talk to. Hey, that's when you got to go with the gonzo.
Hermit, you've lost control here. You're not hard enough hitting. You've got to be incisive. Look, ask him what everybody in America wants to know. Mr. Koppel.
Yes, Gonzo.
Is it true that that is your real hair, or are you wearing a rug?
Is it not on straight?
Wait a minute. Do that again. Holy Toledo.
I think perhaps that answers your question.
I think we've got a scoop here. Nice going. Okay, you're on your own.
Upstaged by a frog. You gotta love it. Still ahead. 10 years of reaching for global guests and going on the road.
They were robbed.
No.
Don't let this happen to you.
All that money?
Robbed blind by an energy thief. Protect yourself with the Weathermaker from Carrier, the world's leading brand. It's the most energy-efficient air conditioner around. It'll save you up to 60% on your cooling costs.
60%?
Wow. Hey, the
Mitchells are getting new gutters.
Call your Carrier dealer. It'd be a crime to call anyone else.
I just can't afford the car I want.
Your Chrysler Plymouth dealer now has 3 ways to save during our biggest sale in history. Get big cash back, or our lowest APR, or our lowest leases ever. Say hi and lease an award-winning Plymouth Neon for only $179 a month, or get 1.9% APR or $600 cash back. We hear you. Our biggest sale ever at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
To demonstrate the uniqueness of a Beautyrest mattress by Simmons, we're dropping the ball. On the competition, that is. Almost every other mattress made relies on springs that are linked, so when the person next to you moves, you get disturbed. But only Beautyrest uses individually pocketed coils to help assure you an undisturbed night's sleep, no matter what's rolling around next to you. Beautyrest by Simmons, the do not disturb mattress.
It's one of Larry's favorite moments.
Is it hard to be the former Prime Minister?
No, it isn't. You just have to accept it. You must accept exactly what's happened and start to build a new life. If ever you look back or live an if-only life, you'll do nothing constructive in the future. And I thought I was very lucky to have been Prime Minister of my country for 11.5 years, during the years that were among the most gripping of this century.
It's one of Larry's favorite moments.
Live it up with Larry King on his 10th anniversary, and you could win a trip to London or one of these AT&T prizes. For details, call this number or look for AT&T Phone Center displays. Then watch Larry King live in June on CNN, sponsored by Chrysler.
Weeknights, Michael and John shake things up in Washington. Crossfire, now at a new time. Weeknights, 7:30 Eastern on CNN.
During development, the new Aurora's V8 engine raced the equivalent distance of 31 Indy 500s back-to-back. It also broke 47 speed endurance records, 2 of which had been set by Mercedes. And along the way, it hit a top speed of 3,500 miles per hour. My mistake. That was the Air Force's Aurora. Our version has never been clocked above Mach 5. It's your money.
When you're giving from the heart, come to I.W. Marks Jewelers. Choose from a great selection of quality, name-brand watches and beautiful diamond and gold jewelry, always at the very best prices. We're Houston's largest and finest independent jeweler. We're I.W. Marks Jewelers, a Houston tradition for value and service. Come see us. We're at 3841 Bel Air Boulevard at Stellar Link, inside Loop 610.
Inside Politics, now at a new time. Weeknights, 8:30 Eastern on CNN.
We've done some traveling during the last 10 years around the United States and overseas. But even when we've stayed put, a lot of our guests have been international movers and shakers. Remember the Berlin Wall tumbling down and Soviet tanks rolling out of Eastern Europe? Mikhail Gorbachev talked to us about why he wanted to change communism. You could have lived the life of a typical Soviet president. Why did you take them on?
My experience, my convictions, my education, my pain, and my feeling about my country and my people, all of this was growing on me. And over the years, I became angry. I became unhappy about what was happening in the country, how we were treating our people, our citizens.
Back in 1985, who thought we'd ever see this historic handshake? The decision to lean forward to shake hands with Mr. Rabin. Did you know you were going to do that?
Yes.
In the morning, did you know it?
Before that, I am coming here not to play.
You must look at what happened to Sadat. And you must say to yourself.
But not to forget how many times I faced the trouble. Do you remember when the Israelis sent the airplanes to bomb my my headquarters and my residence in Tunisia? I was there. I was jogging in the
you were
morning.
jogging when the bomb dropped?
Yes. beside it.
So you're not worried?
I am a strong believer.
In?
The moment when it comes, nobody can stop it. My destiny is my destiny.
And who to believe that we'd be talking to a man who helped end apartheid in South Africa?
When I became a minister in '78, already the writing was on the wall that we would have to undertake fundamental change.
All right, but was it?
We did that in 1986.
Was it a pragmatic decision, or was it also a moral, felt heart decision?
It was a moral decision.
Those global guests came to us. Some international types we met on their home turf, like Japan's sumo wrestlers. Talk about big names.
Musa Shimaru, right? All right. I got you laughing already, right? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
You're not even pronouncing my name, right?
All right. Musa Shimaru.
Musa Shimaru. The R is hard.
Okay. Why did you?
We went on the road in the USA, too. We held a town meeting about health care at a bowling alley in Illinois, and another one about crime at a church in D.C. We went behind bars, too. At the Indiana Correctional Institute, a face-to-face with the former heavyweight champ Mike Tyson.
Or you're treated less than a human?
Yeah, we have those days. Yeah, we have those not to be human treated days.
And is that at the whim of people?
You know, man, if you want to evaluate, since you've never been in this predicament, just say you have somebody just hold, and not to say humiliate you, just say somebody to grab you and just put you on the ground and hold you there, and just, you can't get up when you want to get up.
And that could happen at any time?
Basically, yeah.
Another great athlete, much happier circumstances. Basketball's Michael Jordan live at his restaurant in Chicago. Would you like to own the team?
Would I? Football?
Any sport?
No, not basketball.
Not basketball?
No, it's getting outrageous.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The salaries are getting outrageous.
It is, actually.
You've got to pay guys like Jordan and those guys, right?
Jordan who?
Might as well ask Oprah. We talked with her in the Windy City as well.
Let me tell you this. We were in South Africa for Christmas, and we were at this Ngala Range Reserve, and we had the tracker, who was a black man who's really one of the most powerful black men I'd ever seen, because I thought, here, in his own country, doing what he loves, tracking lions, you know, in front of the Jeep. I was asking him about Michael Jordan, and he didn't know who Michael Jordan was, and was asking me to explain who Michael Jordan was. Of course, he didn't know who I was either, so I wasn't going to bring that up. But he asked me if I knew Larry King. Larry King. I said, yeah, I kind of know him, but you don't know who Michael Jordan is. So I think the fact that you are in a little village in Botswana and the tracker, who doesn't know who Michael Jordan is, knows who you are, that just blows my mind.
Blows mine, too. You want to talk about mind-blowing? How about a phone conversation between Ross Perot and Cher? You wouldn't believe who we've had on the line since this show started. We have one more caller coming in from Los Angeles. Hello.
Hello, Ross.
Is this Cher? Hi, Cher.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
How are you?
Good to hear your voice. I feel so strong. I love my country so much. It's done so much for me. I would be willing to give up everything I'm doing and come and be one of the volunteers.
We go to Bob from Kansas. Hello.
Hey, Larry. Jay, how you
Bob.
doing?
Hi.
Hey, Jay, one thing I've learned about Larry, he likes it when his guests announce their political intentions on his show. So if you want to tell him tonight you'll be my running mate, go right ahead.
It's Bob Dole.
Oh, it's Bob Dole. It is Bob Dole. I know I probably shouldn't say this, but I think you're a very handsome man.
Uh-oh.
Are you available for a date on Friday night?
All right, who put this up?
Who is this?
I have no idea.
No, he's not available. He's happy.
That's the answer. I'm not available.
Not even for your wife?
Yeah, for my wife.
Who is this?
Hi, this is Tipper. I'm calling you from Asheville. You're doing great.
Oh, my God. You didn't recognize your wife's voice.
Yes, you're on candid camera. You thought it was Larry King.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello.
Hi, Larry.
Hi.
I want to say hello to my son, Bill Clinton.
Hi, Mother. What are you doing out there? Up next, 10 years worth of moments that tickle your funny bone.
San Francisco, April 19th, 1906. A major earthquake rocks the city. Records go up in flames. Money is in short supply. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, that's life. Our building was destroyed, but enterprising employees had buried our records in metal boxes in Golden Gate Park, so our clients had access to their funds within 2 days. That's New York Life, the company you keep.
To demonstrate the uniqueness of a Beautyrest mattress by Simmons, we're dropping the ball. On the competition, that is. Almost every other mattress made relies on springs that are linked, so when the person next to you moves, you get disturbed. But only Beautyrest uses individually pocketed coils to help assure you an undisturbed night's sleep, no matter what's rolling around next to you. Beautyrest by Simmons, the Do Not Disturb mattress.
Look inside today's PCs. You'll find something pretty amazing. The Intel Pentium processor. It gives PC software more life, more action, more energy. So if you want your PC software to really move, make sure your PC has the Intel Pentium processor.
Considering the fact that we haven't introduced an entirely new Range Rover in 25 years, we thought the least we could do was show it to you.
We've played at Sirius plenty of times during the last 10 years. We've played around, too. Nothing like a good laugh, nothing like a great song. Is there anyone
you come again. Hey, Larry, shut up. I'm singing.
Go ahead.
Just what... No, thanks for getting me out of it. But anyway, thank you for asking about that. But here you come again, looking better than a body has a right to. Of course, I'm singing to Larry now. Okay.
Damn right. You're doing a semi-nude scene in that movie?
Yes, actually.
Rosie.
Can you believe it, Larry? I'm on a diet.
Why are you doing this?
Well, I'm an undercover cop, and I play a stripper in the opening scene. Now, when Gary sent me the script, they had originally offered it to Sharon Stone, this role. When I stopped laughing, I said, okay, I'll take the job. But I told Gary the hair removal alone for this role is going to take me an extra 2 weeks.
I have never, ever in my life gone out with a married woman in the United States. In Sweden one time I made a mistake, but then I went...
principle or fear?
No, I'm an ethical, I'm a very moral person.
Are you currently involved with anyone?
Only with myself, and I'm having problems.
You were quoted as saying you have a comedy body.
Yes.
What do you mean?
I have a big old butt.
Hey, I'm not promoting CNN. They don't give me a job. Let's get off
What would you do on this network?
On this network?
Yeah. John Rickles is hired by CNN to do what?
First thing I would do, I'd tell Ted Turner it's a mistake.
No,
I know you don't smoke.
I did
was that the hardest thing to lick?
Yep, that was the hardest thing to kick, was no smoking. I had smoked 4.5, 5 packs of cigarettes a day for 40 years. Now I use these little 7-calorie coffee candies, and I'm happy to announce I'm getting diabetes and lockjaw.
Dancing as we're dancing in the dark. That's as high as you should sing it.
Right.
Here's the Jews. Dancing in the dark till the two ends. We're all singing in the dark. Already they're going to. And it soon ends, and we can face the music zusammen. Dancing in the dark.
This is a Binturong.
God.
Isn't this beautiful? Feels like popcorn. Or maybe
He's
Frito.
nervous. It's
yeah. There.
Whoa,
No,
he's loose. You want me to what?
help hold it.
You want me to what?
Hold this thing. And that's a big snake, isn't it? Just hold his head.
Jack!
No, he'll hold his head.
Put those on again. We actually designed this based on you, Larry. This is one to freeze and use for his picture from now on.
I like this. Let's use this.
Look at these boots, huh? Are these groovy boots? And also on top of that, you could do the Picante dance.
That's right. What kind of shoes are you wearing? Here. That's dull, boring, regular black.
Yeah. I have a great pair of underwear on too.
No. Don't do that.
You think I should?
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Larry King Live. Bye-bye.
I just decided. Bye. Now that's comedy.
Still to come, Marlon Brando on acting, George Burns on being a sex symbol, and Barbara Bush on leaving the White House.
They were robbed.
No.
Don't let this happen to you.
All that money?
Robbed blind by an energy thief. Protect yourself with the Weathermaker from Carrier, the world's leading brand. It's the most energy-efficient air conditioner around. It'll save you up to 60% on your cooling costs.
60%? Wow. Hey, the Mitchells are getting new gutters.
Call your Carrier dealer. It'd be a crime to call anyone else.
October 29th, 1929. The stock market crashes. Over 11,000 financial institutions fail. Many people are forced into bankruptcy. Unfortunately, that's life. In 1929, New York Life's assets were wisely invested, so they were barely affected by the crash, and our policyholders were in a much better position to face the Great Depression. That's New York Life, the company you keep.
Are you sure you're getting the best rates on your international calls?
Now the difference between MCI and AT&T's best international rates is even greater than ever.
It's here in the MCI Proof of Savings Statement. It shows you how you save no matter where you call. Take India. Those savings could be $15 a month, $180 a year.
To England, save $96 a year.
To Mexico, save $132 a year.
There's no doubt who saved you the most.
And no doubt who you should call. MCI.
Say to me, how do you get guests to tell you the things they do? Well, I ask them direct, and then I listen, really listen. Here are some highlights of what I've heard during 10 years of Larry King Live.
Do other things.
From the legendary Marlon Brando, insights on why he acts.
Because there isn't anything that pays you as much money as acting while you are deciding what the hell you're going to do with it.
Did it come easily to you? So in other words, you could make money this way?
Acting comes easily to everybody. All I've done is just simply through the extraordinary talents of Stella Adler, who was my teacher and mentor, learned how to be aware of the process. And some people are never aware of it.
Why do you like being somebody else?
I think there's something in all of us that wants to do that. You know, put a bag over the head and you can kind of dance naked on the tabletop.
Have you turned down anything you regretted?
Are you kidding me?
Like?
Well, there was this girl and she... Never mind. I turned down Terms of Endearment.
Good move, Bert.
Well, it was The Hustler.
I turned down Ghost.
Ghost?
Well, I've turned down a lot of really good movies, but I don't regret it because I got really cool vacations in the summer.
As a matter of fact, the ones that I've turned down never ended up that great.
So you've never thought that you've been maybe kind of blessed and cursed at the same time?
I've never thought of myself as beautiful. I was never raised, you know, that way. No one ever told me that as I was growing up.
Do you like celebritydom?
I don't know.
I mean, you have to gauge it. Do you like being known?
I guess I don't judge it in that way. And I know some people say, oh, I hate this or I hate that. I accept it as part of it, and so thereby I find the joy out of it.
Was most of you in Rocky?
Yeah, very much.
That was more autobiographical than anything.
Well,
in the sense,
philosophically,
yeah,
yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes. I mean, I don't go, you know, Adrian, I go from whoa. Even though everyone thinks I do that, you know, I'm shocked. You know, I come into the room and hello, Sylvester Stallone. They go, where's Rocky? Oh, man, please.
How painful was defeat? You've had defeat before.
Someone you love, well, that was painful, too. I don't want to tell you that was easy, but if you adore your husband, that's hard. But George Bush would tell you that the minute we lost, and maybe a couple of days later, had started sort of mentally packing myself, and I was home by the time we got there. And people have been so nice to us.
Does it get down to one man, one decision?
Well, it does. The last 3 days I was in the White House, I didn't go to bed at all.
I was staying up trying to get our last 54 hostages out of Iran safe and with honor and all alive. And I never even thought about going to bed. And we successfully negotiated their release.
I don't enjoy power. For my father, being in government or being in power or politics was like a romance with the people. And for me, it's always been a duty.
Do you resent when people write about how rich you are?
No, not at all. Because, you know, half of it is garbage. They come out, Forbes, I had a big fight with Forbes about coming out and saying how rich I was, because they didn't know. And they sent a man out, they took me off the list, you know. I was one of the 15 most wealthy men or something in the country. And I said, come out and look at that. How dare you put that in? Do you know that when I was in Vietnam in 1970 or something, Time magazine came out and said I was worth $500 million?
I remember that.
And you know how they found that out? They asked a guy backstage at the NBC who was sort of just got knocked off a bottle of wine or something. They said, what do you think Hope is worth? He said, oh, about $500 million. And they put it in the magazine.
Many of Wall Street Journal said you were the richest show business person. As a person who's been salaried and employed all your life, you're the richest.
Yeah.
Why do you get angry? Why even bother with it? Why call Time? Why call Forbes?
Well, you can't, because the next, you know, Greyhound bus pulls up to the house with 19 relatives. They eat the hedges. They try to get in the house, you know, and I beat them back.
Out of the woodwork. Money was never your driving force, you told me once.
No, not really.
It was never your
really.
goal.
Laughs.
Were you a ladies' man early? No. I was never a great, even when I married, I was never a great lover.
You were not?
No.
How did this image
I made Gracie laugh. Yeah, a sense of humor. Well, after you marry 25 years and you get in bed with your wife, it's easy to make her laugh. And I made Gracie laugh.
No, in other words, you were this image of George Burns, sexy.
I didn't need,
you were admitting him
I
to
didn't need any women when I was young. Could do it myself.
You... Some celebs want to kiss and tell or tell and kiss, whether you like it or not.
Can you do the Tootsie voice now?
Well, yes. Larry, can I come here, get closer. Well, come here now. What are you so shy for? Well, don't be so homophobic. Get over here. I'm going to give you a kiss.
No.
Come here now, give you a kiss right on your head. You're the sweetest man I ever saw. Where'd you get that tie?
When the chapel bells ring out.
Gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Darling, goodbye.
Goodbye. Hold the goodbyes, we're not done yet. Next on this anniversary special, a fond farewell to some of the folks who made our first 10 years so special.
Over the last 150 years, all kinds of companies that said they'd be there when you needed them didn't stand up to their promises. That's life. Our policy of thoughtful, prudent investing has kept us, well, a pillar of strength for the last 150 years. That's New York Life, the company you keep.
This is the place for lively debate from the right and the left.
This is the place for conversation with top newsmakers and celebrities and your phone calls.
This is the place for interviews, live breaking news, fashion and design, entertainment news,
the world of sports, business, and financial news. This is CNN.
This is CNN.
This is CNN.
This is CNN.
We've talked to a lot of extraordinary people during the last 10 years. Sad to say, some of them aren't with us anymore. They made for memorable moments. Richard Nixon, one of the 20th century's most complicated characters.
Is it hard to come back to this city? Is it hard to drive by the Watergate?
Well, I've never been in the Watergate, so it's kind of hard for
Never
me to
been in? Never been in the restaurant?
No. Other people were in there, though, unfortunately. And so,
Was it hard for you?
No, I don't live in the past. As a matter of fact, one of the problems older people have is when you get together and they always want to reminisce about the past. I don't do that. I like to think about the future. I don't read current history, and I don't read about my period of life except my own books.
Did you read Tom Wicker's book about you?
The what?
Tom Wicker's book about you?
No, I didn't. I didn't read it, and I haven't read any of the biographies by me. It's
really?
And I haven't seen myself on television. You see, I'm a little strange in that way, but I don't want to become subconscious.
Arthur Ashe, consummate athlete, courageous human being.
I do feel like a victim, but as you were asking me earlier about being black and living in America, what I don't want to do is to wallow in my victimization, or I don't want to use that as a crutch for inactivity. Yes, I'm a victim, but I'm going to move on, and I'm not going to dwell on it.
Sammy Davis Jr., Mr. Entertainment, singer, dancer, actor, a little guy with a giant's heart.
You know, I've only had really 2 idols in my life in terms of people that I wanted to emulate truly. The friends in this business, I've had many, 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 but I always wanted to be funny like Jerry Lewis was and is. And I always wanted to sing with the delicacy and the sensitivity of Frank Sinatra.
Bette Davis, a great lady of the silver screen. Why the desire to keep working?
It's my life. It's the thing I love the most. Oh, yes, I love it.
Why? Why do you like being other people?
Well, probably because I'm not so crazy about myself. Well, that is a truism.
About actors?
About actors. In many cases, they want to play other people, but I never took it that far. I always stayed sort of me between films.
Did you ever do the affectations that all the imitators did of you?
Not that I know of.
Because I know someone said that Cary Grant never said Judy, 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 ever.
No, he never did.
And you were there
and I never said Pita, Pita, Pita. Never, I didn't work with anybody named Pita. Nothing can be greater than Academy Awards, I think. But it's a very prestigious award, and I have wanted it for 12 years and never received it. And they send brochures every year. Who do you think should get the award? Well, one year I sent it back, and I said, me. Well, finally I did get it.
John Candy, a very funny man, taken from us way too soon. John, give us Pavarotti.
Luciano?
Yeah.
No, I won't do it. I don't want to do it.
You don't want to do it?
I don't want to do it.
How about Julia Child?
Well, I've got a beard now. The chicken had a lot more steroids in it than I thought.
And
I'd lighten up on that.
Orson Welles, the late Orson Welles.
In the depths of your ignorance, Larry, what is it you want? No money is worth this show. You people are such pests.
Michael Landon, his career inspired the goodness in all of us. Why you wanted to do an Angel? Why you thought this would play?
You know how I got this idea? I was driving through Beverly Hills to pick up my kids on a Friday night, bring them down to my beach house. And everybody was honking their horns and cursing out the window. I mean, it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. Where are you going to go? And I'm looking at all these people, and they're all so angry at each other. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to do a show that somehow enabled people to use all of this energy, this anger that they have, and turn it around, and use half of it being nice to each other and being kind to each other, and really realize what kind of rewards you reap from that. And that's really how that whole idea started.
Telly Savalas, what an actor, what a head.
How did Who Loves You Baby come about?
Well, like Larry King would know it just as well as I do, because he's from the neighborhood and he's my kind of people, and he's the best interviewer on the air.
Oh.
These are expressions, I guess, that you pick up from the streets. I guess Telly and Kojak, when it comes to remarks like that, are one and the same. It's just part of the dialogue, kid.
Vincent Price, ghoulish on screen, anything but in real life.
My favorite of the ones I've done is a picture called Theater of Blood.
Oh, what a picture.
It was really a wonderful picture.
Well, you killed all these actors.
I killed all the critics.
The critics?
Critics! It was one of the most joyous moments of my life. Every actor who was in it felt very great sympathy for me.
And you killed them brutally.
Brutally, according to the play in Shakespeare that they hated me most in.
And Audrey Hepburn, she lit up the silver screen, had a smile that hit you, bam, in the center of your soul. loveliness within and without.
How strange it is that there isn't a science of peace. There's a science of war, nothing comparable to the science of armaments and strategy. There are colleges of war. And I don't see why, you know, this thought couldn't come true. Why can't we study and really have a science for peace?
Words to be remembered by. We've been lucky to capture a piece of history these past 10 years, and we'll keep bringing you the brightest stars, biggest stories, and best moments of live TV on Larry King Live, because the best is yet to come.
Closed captioning was provided by Bell Atlantic, the heart of communication.
Weeknights, Michael and John shake things up in Washington. Crossfire, now at a new time. Weeknights, 7:30 Eastern on CNN.
This is the... He just seized me here by the waist and plunged me headfirst into the limo. I landed on the seat, and the seat divider was down, and then he dived in on top of me, which is part of their procedure to make sure that I'm covered. Well, as it turned out later, the shot that got me caromed off the side of the limousine and hit me while I was diving into the car. And it hit me back here under the arm, and then hit a rib, and that's what caused an extreme pain. And then it turned instead of edgewise and went tumbling down to within an inch of my heart.
The day it started, can you tell me the moments leading up to it, who you were talking to? Were you talking to President Bush? Were you talking to Colin Powell?
About the 24 hours before it started, we weren't talking to anybody, because by that time, I described it one time as like standing at a crap table, you throw the dice in the air. Once the dice are in the air, they're going to land. And then it's only a question how they land.
That would be a 24-hour take to land.
So, sure. So what had happened, you see, we had to start planes flying from very, very distant locations, heading out there long before H-hour. So we had to have a decision 48 hours in advance in order for us to get the wheels rolling.
From the time my right window broke out from whatever hit it, I knew after that nothing. I woke up.
Because you know what you see on film.
That's it.
You have no memory of that?
No, sir.
No pain?
Well...
Subsequent pain?
Yeah, subsequent pain.
I mean,
yes,
you
sir.
woke up in a hospital, is that
Yeah, 5 days later, and I couldn't talk because they had a bunch of tubes going.
Leaders. What is it like?
I didn't know I was...
Destiny is my destiny.
I don't enjoy power.
Isolating.
You have to fight it?
I fight it all the time.
The last 3 days I was in the White House, I didn't go to bed at all.
There is no if only about you.
There's no if only.
I don't read about my period of life except my own books.
I look forward to coming on your show and answering any questions they can throw. Curb, fastball.
Legend. You're not afraid to go on stage and sing?
Oh, yeah.
The first 4 or 5 seconds, I tremble every time I take the step and I walk out of the wing onto the stage.
Why do you like being other people?
Well, probably because I'm not so crazy about myself.
I never knew that many people loved me.
I never thought of myself as beautiful.
Have you ever had a facelift?
God, no. If I had a facelift, would I be stuck with this?
It's great to see you. Look terrific.
That's because I'm wearing my Larry King shirt.
Yes.
I forgot the suspenders.
Well, she can carry a gun, go to daddy, mother, son.
You're singing my part.
And laughs. Okay. I can't believe it. All right. They pay me for this. This is a good job.
Richard. I love it.
At this stage in your career, how would you assess where you are?
Well, I'm on this show. Going through my throat and everything.
What kind of injury? You had 90 stitches, right?
Quite a few. Staples.
Staples. You still have a fracture in the head?
Yes, on the side of my head here.
There's a dent there. We can show that.
I don't know if you guys can see, but the dent is because there's skull is missing, parts of the skull.
Do you hate those guys who did this?
No, they're confused.
Don't hate him.
No.
The events today, did they shock you?
I think anytime something that horrible and that tragic happens, it's shocking, and it's terribly, terribly hurtful and painful.
As it turns out, Janet, was that wrong?
Obviously, as you look at all the information that we had, as you considered everything that we knew at the time, we made the best decision I think that we could based on everything that we knew. Based on what we know now, it was obviously wrong.
Police believe that O.J. Simpson is in that car. Police believe he is in that vehicle. Now, police radio is saying that Simpson has a gun at his head. Police radio is saying that Simpson, the passenger in the car, has a gun at his head. Reviewing a car apparently being driven by Al Cowling, one of O.J.'s oldest friends and a former teammate at Southern Cal.
You have a national hero. I, as an undergraduate, went to USC. O.J. Simpson was a hero of mine. There's a beauty, a grace about him. He was very successful. People don't want to believe that he could possibly have done this.
Is your chair okay?
Don't be so homophobic. Get over here. I'm going to give you a kiss.
No.
That just blows my mind.
Blows mine, too.
No! The couple.
The cuddle.
Robbie!
Welcome to the 10th anniversary of Larry King Live. Good evening. My name is Larry King, and this is the premiere edition of Larry King Live. It's been one decade since I've said those words. Sure, I've changed some, a little less hair, got rid of the coat, but I'm still live and still talking to the most fascinating people in the world. Why not? We've got a winning formula here, and it's watched in 220 countries. I've asked a lot of questions during the last 10 years, gotten answers I never thought I'd hear, plus a few I'm still trying to figure out. Sometimes it's been dicey, but it's never been dull. This show has packed a lot of star power. It's also broken headlines as they've happened, and then dug behind them when the time was right. We've delivered the news and the folks who made it. What is it like to be shot?
I didn't know I was shot. I heard a noise, and we came out of the hotel and headed for the limousine, and I heard some noise, and I thought it was firecrackers. And the next thing I knew, one of the Secret Service agents behind me.
O.J. Simpson simply is not a murderer, number one. Number two, he couldn't have done it. Number three, he wouldn't have done it. And number four, this whole debacle is covering nicely for the people who did do it and may do it again.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
It's just a horrible, horrible thing, Larry. I just hope that with obviously the prayers and the support of everybody who are here and who isn't here, that we can find some survivors, but it's a very grim business.
Can you tell us, Governor, whether now, after your briefings with the Bureau and others, that this looks like definitely a domestic case?
That's what it looks like.
What is it like to be taken?
I was terrified. There's no doubt about it. I was sure they were going to kill me. When they came on the site, it was a crazed mob. They were yelling and screaming and throwing stuff out of the way. And again, I had no ammunition left, and I just placed that weapon across my chest and put my hands on it and looked up at the sky. And? Yeah, it was out of my hands at that point.
They took you where?
They wrapped, well, one guy threw dirt in my eyes and in my mouth, and then they wrapped a rag around my head, and they hoisted me up in the air, and they carried me out into the street, and they were parading me around for a few minutes. My leg was being manipulated all over the place. My back was really, really hurting me bad, and again, I thought there was a pretty good chance they'd still end up killing me.